This is Outnumbered. I'm Andrea Tanteros, and here with us today, Harris Faulkner, political commentator and national spokeswoman for the LIBRE Initiative, Rachel Campos-Duffy, host of Kennedy on our sister network, FBN's Kennedy, and today's hashtag #OneLuckyGuy. Welcome back, Fox News contributor and political editor of townhall.com. Guy Benson is with us, and Guy, you're outnumbered.
Hey, I am. Guy. It's awesome to be outnumbered every single time.
And you are the official One Lucky Guy Benson.
That's correct. Hashtag One Lucky Guy all the way.
Yeah, love that.
There you go.
Well, it's a big political news day because the Clintons, geez, they just keep giving us more and more to talk about. Because right now, Hillary Clinton is meeting with community college students and educators in New Hampshire as she plays major defense against allegations in a new book. Well, it claims that during her time at the State Department, she and her husband, the former president, filled their foundation's coffers with millions of dollars from foreign governments in exchange for favors. Now, Hillary, of course, no stranger to controversy, and when pressed about it yesterday, the troubling details in the book, Clinton Cash, she essentially said that Republicans appear to have nothing better to talk about.
We're back into the political season, and therefore we will be subjected to all kinds of distraction and attacks, and I'm ready for that. I know that that comes, unfortunately, with the territory.
Meantime, the White House not offering Hillary much cover. Check out the verbal gymnastics by Josh Earnest when a reporter pressed the White House press secretary on whether or not the book's pay-to-play allegations are true.
I know there's been a lot of accusations made about this, but not a lot of evidence.
I just asked what I thought was a pretty simple question. Can you assure us that there was absolutely no favorable treatment given to donors of the Clinton Foundation?
Again, John, what I'm saying is that there are lots of accusations like this.
You can't give me that reassurance. That's a pretty basic, I mean...
But, John, there's nobody that's marshaled in the evidence to indicate this. So I don't want to be in a position of...
But you can tell me it didn't happen.
Well, again, I'm not sure there's anybody that has any tangible evidence to indicate that it did.
Translation, I don't want to defend her. And earlier on Fox, presidential candidate and Republican Senator Rand Paul saying Clinton has plenty to answer for if these allegations are in fact true.
There's something big here, and the big thing is the idea of taking money from foreign countries. We have campaign finance laws that say you can't take money from foreign citizens or from foreign governments. She's taking money from countries that abuse the rights of women. She's going to have to explain how that's consistent with supposedly being a proponent of women's rights.
Yes, she is going to have to explain, Guy. And I was cracking up just to see her with all those cameras, and she's sort of like, why are you asking me all these cameras? Why do you have them in my face? I mean, don't you guys have anything else to talk about? She's the only one running on the Democratic side. This isn't going away.
Well, I'm still recovering from the shock of Hillary Clinton taking questions from reporters as a declared candidate for the presidency, which she hadn't done until that moment. Of course, she's going to try to deflect this and say it's a distraction. Look, the book doesn't come out for a couple of weeks. Let's see what the book actually proves, because I think we'll see plenty of dodgy connections and appearances of impropriety, which we see a lot with the Clintons. The question is, will there be a quid pro quo that is proven, with the dots clearly connected? We don't know that yet, but I'll point out our network, Fox News, as well as the Washington Post and the New York Times have seen this book, and they are all cooperating with the author to explore some of the information that the book uncovers. To me, that at least gives a whiff of serious proof coming in the book, but I think we ought to wait and see.
And Guy, the accusations are pretty specific. I mean, this author did his research. Harris, I'm looking here. One example, $500,000 from the government of Algeria at the same time that this government was lobbying the State Department over its human rights issues, and then coincidentally, because, you know, there's so many coincidences in politics, they broke a deal with the foundation over these donations.
How are they treating their women there these days?
Great point.
Okay, so a couple more. More than $1 million in payments went to Mr. Clinton by a Canadian bank and major shareholders in the Keystone XL pipeline around the time that that project was being debated in the State Department. So to speak to Andrea's point, and one that I would make too, it isn't just coupling the dollars with the foundation and where they came from. It's the timing that will matter in all of this. Right. And if they do what Guy says, if they can prove an actuality between the cause of the cash going in and the result of some benefit coming out, then it's going to be a continuing problem for her, because it's not just about her. It's wider. It's about the Obama administration, too.
Right. And I want to go and I want to talk about the Obama administration, Kennedy, because we saw this with the email scandal, that sort of doublespeak coming out of the White House. General Petraeus was charged for very similar offenses as Hillary Clinton should have been charged in this email scandal.
Yeah.
Now we see a very similar thing happen with Democrat from New Jersey, Bob Menendez, who did very similar things. However, Menendez was allegedly helping out in a quid pro quo his constituent. She, on the other hand, could have been helping out foreign governments. It's even worse than Menendez's scandal, in my opinion.
Oh, no, it absolutely is. But the thing that's interesting about the Clintons is they always manage to stay one step ahead of legislation and regulation. You know, whether it's the email server at the State Department or the Clinton Foundation, you know, it's actually a pretty brilliant scheme. And as one writer pointed out, you know, most presidents are just in their third act, and when they leave office, they're just trying to make a little bit of money. They're trying to have their legacy stay intact for all eternity. But here you have a couple that's still active in national politics, which, you know, makes this funneling device that the Clinton Foundation absolutely could be that much more curious, because, as you said, you know, it's extra legal. It's outside of the known parameters that we have now. But at some point, moderates, independents have to be sitting here going, something's got to stick. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark.
And I think that she figures she can use the same excuse that they've always used in their history of shadiness with money, the cattle futures trade. We've seen this pattern with the Clintons, but specifically the administration, Rachel. I mean, this appears now that President Obama's State Department was available to the highest bidder. This is not just a problem for Clinton. This is a problem for the White House.
Yeah, and I think with the Keystone Pipeline, the State Department came out neutral, or saying that the environmental studies would have, you know, little or no impacts, which would have been contrary to what the White House wanted to come out on that. So that may be also why they're a little silent right now. Maybe they're still a little ticked off about that. Look, I think she's a pathological liar. I think Christopher Hitchens wrote a book about the Clintons called No One Left to Lie To. And I look at my own life, whether it's a teenager that I'm dealing with or a politician who lies that much and that pathologically, you almost have to just take everything they say as a lie until proven otherwise. I know that doesn't sound very fair, but in the case of the Clintons, and especially Hillary, who's had to make all of these sort of concessions in her life around her husband and around these dealings, I think it's fair.
And it's not just lies, Guy. It's also character assassination for people that are actually bringing up, I think, pretty valid points, like the author. So, of course, the Clinton machine took to the Sunday shows, and John Podesta, a former chief of staff for the Clintons, decided to slam the very credible author. Take a listen.
It's a book that's written by a former Bush operative who's a reporter for that august news institution, Breitbart.com, or has been in the past. He's cherry-picked information that's been disclosed and woven a bunch of conspiracy theories about it. The facts, there's nothing new about. The conspiracy theories, I guess we'll get to judge when we read the book.
Magical word. Conspiracy. It's just a vast right-wing conspiracy, right?
Once again. Yeah, attack the messenger. No, it's damage control 101 there from Podesta, so I can't blame him for that. The problem that they're going to run into is the write-up in the New York Times, which is not a famously right-wing organ, has looked at the book, has looked at the evidence, and the write-up that came out on Sunday night referred to his work as, quote, meticulously documented. So regardless of what this guy's background is, however they want to cast him, if he's got the goods, he's got the goods. If he doesn't, then this is a big swing and a miss, and the Clinton people will be very pleased.
Well, and it's tightly written, too. It's 186 pages. It's not like Hard Choices, where it took you 656 plus to figure out what the choices were. But I would say this. For Hillary Clinton, though, she may try to spin it this way, as her as the victim. You mentioned, always the victim of the Republicans coming after the Clintons, but also as a woman. I think that will backfire on her.
Can I just say, speaking of another political book very quickly, and this is so, this is just, it's so rich, it's beautiful, because George Stephanopoulos in A Political Education wrote about how he and James Carville loved to get President Bush the Elder entrapped in what they would call a cluster cuss, but they used a different word, where reporters would just surround them, and they were like caged, trapped animals, And the exact same thing just happened to Hillary Clinton as she's talking about, you know, these attacks and these distractions and blah, blah, blah. I wonder if
she may get away with it because the emails are gone. I mean, there could be a lot of insinuation, but maybe the answers to, you know, the
money trail wasn't just in those emails. Somebody was cashing those checks.
Right.
And, you know, just a last quick thought here. You talk about tearing Schweitzer down because he was formerly with Republicans. What about George Stephanopoulos? They're not going to cut at his journalistic movements, are they? And his credibility. I mean, he came from the Clinton era.
He ran the
Peter Schweitzer was
him?
Dan Rather's producer at 48 Hours.
Right. If this is a piece of journalism, we have to be careful about that because we have a lot of people in glass houses.
Well, I also think if the email scandal hadn't happened, this also wouldn't look extremely sketchy, because you wonder, why were they hiding the emails? Why was she operating on Bill's server? I mean, I think people always knew there was something amiss with the Clintons, but this just adds a whole other layer, and she can't just keep discounting these accusations. She's going to have to answer it. And this Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, Fox News Channel will be airing a special Fox News reporting The Tangled Clinton Web, anchored by our own Brett Baier. And Fox has an exclusive television interview with the author of the book, Clinton Cash, as well as plenty of original reporting. Trust me, you do not want to miss that. And new concerns about how Americans are being lured into joining ISIS, what we are learning about so-called peer-to-peer recruitment, and whether it can be stopped. Plus, the Obama administration facing new pressure to tie the nuclear talks with Iran to the release of the Americans held by the rogue nation. So why is the administration saying no to that? And right after the show, catch more from the couch. Join us on Outnumbered Overtime by logging on to foxnews.com/outnumbered and click the Overtime tab. No, you can't see it, but Harris has already logged on. He is taking your questions and your comments, and we read them during the breaks, and we answer them in the After the Show. So get on the chat now.